such a warm welcome. I got to tell you, though, you might want to hold off on all that applause because it's non-refundable. But anyway, I'm really glad to be here. I'm sure some of you were just killing 3 hours until the Powerball numbers come out. I woke up this morning with 16 years and 5 months clean and sober. Thank you. Don't let that influence your decisions tonight. This is a club. They're trying to make business. They're doing business. I'm hoping to come back, so drink up, please. Cheers to everybody. Actually, I spoke at a AA meeting yesterday out of Long Island. Yeah, I shared my story for about 30 minutes, and then I opened up the floor for questions and comments, and I was getting really great feedback, and then there was only time for one more person to speak, and there was a guy in the back, a big guy. He kept raising his hand, and I continued to ignore him, but I said, no, I gotta be fair. I mean, I was getting really bad vibes from him, but I decided to pick him last. I said, yes, sir, you in the back. He stands up, goes, my name is Ralph. I haven't had a drink in 6 days. You don't know shit. You don't know jack shit. I said, well, if you know Mr. Shit, perhaps you can introduce me to him. I'm sure we'd have a lot to talk about. The facilitator of the group who had me come to speak, he was so proud that I didn't let Ralph push my buttons that he invited me to stick around for the next group of the day. It was Plastic Surgery Anonymous. But I politely declined because I knew there would be a lot of new faces there I wouldn't recognize. I couldn't stick around anyway, actually, because I had to meet this woman in Manhattan, had to get back to Manhattan, had a date with this woman I met online, and they took the LIRR, so I had to get back to the Ronkonkoma station because the train was due to arrive. Sure enough, it arrived on time, but it was jam-packed, and the only seats that were available are the kind that you're looking back where you're coming from. I'm sure you can all relate to that. For me, it's like you're going back in time. It's kind of like weird. But I have a bad back, so I wasn't gonna wait for a seat to open up. I just took what I could. So we start moving along. 3 stops into the trip, we're at Mineola. I felt like 20 years younger. We pull into Jamaica. I'm like a teenager. I can't sit still. I'm playing with my phone. Finally, we get to the last stop, Penn Station, and I fell asleep like a little baby. The conductor had to wake me up. I had drool all over my face. I stood up to exit the train, and I realized I had crapped in my pants. Could not go on this date. I had to go into the Penn Station bathroom. Not a place that you want to go to if you could avoid that the rest of your life. I cleaned myself up. I went outside. I called the woman up. I said, hi, I can't make it. Something came up. Actually, something came out. She says, oh, you're full of shit. I said, no, I was, but I cleaned myself up now. She hung up, and I'll never know what might have happened. I'm not even going to call her anymore. But I want you all to know that tonight, especially in the front row, I have a new pair of underwear on, so we're good. Yeah. Some of you may already know me. I noticed that in the waiting room in the lobby before the show started, you were looking at me like you recognized me. I wrote a book called You in Jail. I was locked up for nearly 6 years. Maybe you had read that.
I read it.
You read it? Well, then make sure you tell everybody else to read it. The check's in the mail, too. Or you might have seen some of my motivational and inspirational videos on YouTube or other online availabilities. But you might have also seen me in your local post office on the wall. But it was a long time ago, but I'll never forget it. I was locked up for the first 7.5 months on Rikers Island. The day I got arrested, I was wearing these thick Coke bottle glasses, so I knew I was going to have a rough time. I mean, I'm not that big as it is. Sure enough, my second day there, I had a fight with this big black guy. He was like 6'3". We went into the law library. I went there right away to work on my case, and he was there. We were in the same dorm. I wasn't in a cell. I was in a dormitory setting. So we had an argument. I knew when we got back to the dorm we were going to have a fight. So has anybody else ever been locked up here? You're right. A bunch of goody two-shoes. Look at all of you. I seen this woman told this man, don't you dare raise your hand. But yeah, so we got back from the law library, and when you're in a dorm, you always have a fight in the bathroom, away from the cameras, away from the officers. So he walked in first. I followed him. He took a swing at me. I just naturally ducked, and I came up swinging. I broke his glasses, and I broke his nose, and he was bleeding. And for the rest of my time on Rikers Island, they all called me the White Mike Tyson. It was so embarrassing. I remember, and then when I went upstate, I only had a few more fights, but you know, when you go upstate, you just want to do your time, so it really wasn't that much to talk about. I met the rabbi my first week upstate. He invited me to Jewish services, so I figured even though I'm not religious, it's a good way to get away from the dorm, get away from everybody else. I'll never forget my first Jewish service. Listen to this. Besides the rabbi and myself, there was a guy named Mark Levine. Then we had Pablo Morales. We had, Luther Jackson and Lee Chin. Or was it Chin Lee? I don't remember. Everybody wants to be Jewish when you're upstate. Anybody want to guess why? The kosher meals. The kosher meals cannot be beat. I received a box of matzah at every meal as well, so I was getting 21 boxes of matzahs a week. I couldn't eat all that. I would be in the bathroom, and Ralph would be right about me. So I started learning the jail game. I started selling it or trading it for other food items. I never had to ask my family or girlfriend or friends for money to go to commissary. I started, selling the matzahs. They started calling me Matzah Man. I thought I was in the Village People. You should have seen. I had gang members from the Bloods, Crips, and Latin Kings walking around the dorm all hours of the day and night, holding up their baggy pants with one hand, munching on the matzahs with another. The do-rags on, it was the funniest thing you could have seen. They would come to my cube at 2 in the morning and Goldstein, I need some matzah crackers. It was like I was like a drug dealer in prison. And it was all paid for by the government. Actually, it was all paid by you, the taxpayer. Thank you.